Thank you for tuning in to Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. I am music producer Achickwitbeatz,
And I'm entrepreneur Breezy Gipson.
and we're glad that you're with us today. We've got some highlights of some of the things going on in the music industry, some info that you can kind of store away and use to plan out what you're going to do for the rest of the year, maybe even next year as well. And of course, there's going to be beats by yours truly. And, I'm just kind of excited to do this and share some of this goodness that we got with you. And of course, as always, a super huge shout out of appreciation to our home stations, Grander Radio out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Sparks Radio out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I guess without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring the show to you.
Breezy Gipson, music marvel breeze.
fam, this is Breezy Gipson from the Breeze team. How would you like to see an online platform that brings you people who've already indicated that they're interested in your particular type of business? Whether it's your music you're selling, hip-hop clothing, you got a restaurant or a cafe, or if you're an entrepreneur or agent for a business. Visit me at breeze2cheese.com. That's using the number 2, breeze2cheese.com, or click my bio link on my Instagram profile to see a live demo of how this can help you get more customers and make more money.
Hey, this is Achickwitbeatz. I am a multi-genre music producer and strategist to indie artists and labels. Visit my website, achickwitbeatz.com, for resources for artists and instrumentals available in various genres for songs, vlogs, blogs, podcasts, themes, TV, film, commercials, and more. Once again, that's achickwitbeatz.com, ACHICKWITBEATZ. Let's make something happen.
All right, we're back with music industry news. First off, Spotify is planning some payout changes to kind of focus on fraud and noise and unpopular tracks. So according to reports from some of the huge music outlets, Spotify is going to be tweaking the payouts in response to all the debates that have been going on in the industry regarding that. So now they're saying that tracks will have to hit a minimum threshold of annual streams in order to qualify for royalty payouts. Now, supposedly, and this is according to Music Business Worldwide, the change will only affect tracks that accounted for about 0.5% of the royalties pool. And so, with non-music noise having to have a minimum playtime length in order to qualify for royalties, that should kind of alleviate some of those problems. And they're talking about enforcing a financial penalty for distributors and labels that actually are associated with fraudulent activity. So, this is for all those people that, maybe they've got what they're calling white noise, brown noise, pink noise. We got all the noise colors out now. But people doing stuff like that to just kind of game the system, they're essentially stealing royalties from actual creators. And so with these changes, hopefully that can kind of alleviate some of that and we can see some more fair payouts. But if you recall, this is actually the same thing that's been happening with the artist-centric royalty payments that some of the other organizations have been looking at doing. And so, yeah, it's not that big of a difference. It looks like they're kind of taking a play from their book. But hey, anything that can kind of even the playing field a little bit and keep artists from getting shortchanged on that front is always a good thing.
It never ceases. There's always somebody trying to beat the system.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, you're right. Because even with those changes, they're probably already thinking of the next way to get around that to do it. So, yeah.
I mean, it's just like good old fashioned hey, let's do this and whatever. They're just throwing so many chinks at that, trying to pierce the armor and just weasel their way in, without doing the work.
Right.
Wow.
And you know what? If you want to get real about it, what you just said kind of applies to some of the mainstream music we've been hearing too. So yes, we were talking about that fraudulent stuff, but you can kind of tell when some of these songs come out that they're gaming the system, trying to get you to at least let it play for those 30 seconds so they can get the royalties, and then it's hot garbage. Because, it's like people will still tune in just to find out why people don't like something. So it still kind of helps them, gain that traction and gain those streams, which is why, and this is just a personal opinion, it doesn't represent any of the organizations we're associated with, but it's also one of those reasons why when people say, oh, the numbers don't lie, sometimes they do. So, it's not like you can even count. I mean, a lot of times they talk about how many albums were sold and they're talking about streaming numbers because of what the equivalent is. But like I say, curiosity can still lead to that. Did people come back to it after they listened? So, basically, us real artists have a lot to kind of fight against, in order to get our fair share of, the whole royalty pool when you look at it that way.
Wow. Yeah. Well, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah, that could be a whole episode on its own.
Right. Yeah, we have to make a check mark on that and come back to that thought about
Yeah,
the show. 'Cause that right there, oh man.
yeah. All right. So Universal Music has posted higher revenue as subscriptions and physical sales picked up. Apparently, Wall Street still wasn't that impressed, but hey, these numbers are still pretty impressive, even though it's not what they were expecting. But UMG reported that 2.91 billion in revenue was recorded in the third quarter of the year, which was up 9.9% from the same quarter last year. So subscription streaming revenue increased 13% to 1.15 billion, and their merchandising and other grew 27.5% to 247 million. And this was actually driven by increased direct to consumer sales and higher touring merchandise. So, I mean, sales. So, this is kind of like what we were talking about. Maybe a few weeks ago when we were talking about how like the super fans actually want something to kind of hold on to. So the fact that you could see that kind of increase by, actually making sure that you have merch for customers. And, once they have a great experience at the concert, of course, they want to buy the stuff to take home to kind of commemorate that. So, hint, hint. Any artists out there, if you're making music, you got some merch, whether that's CDs, shirts, cups, whatever you're doing. Definitely keep that as a part of the game, because when people connect with you and your music, they kind of want something to hold on to as well. So, if Universal's seeing those kind of returns, guess what? That means that there's a trend that you can kind of capitalize on as well.
Yeah, well, and that's good. Okay, and so now on the sports side, especially NBA basketball, for the last few years, there's been a trend, whether it be beginning of the season or during the season or at the end of the season when the playoffs start taking place. Case in point, first home game for the Atlanta Hawks NBA team earlier this week. Okay, well, see, what the NBA teams do is they, however number many seats they have in the arena, 17,000, 20,000, 22,000, whatever, they order T-shirts in advance. So the night of that game, well, the day of that game, they have a team of folks that goes throughout the whole arena, and they put the T-shirts on the seat in the whole arena. And it changes the color of the arena with those T-shirts on there. And same thing. So when the fans come in, they have a choice: either put the T-shirt on right then, or just keep it in their lap and take it home afterwards. Okay, so there you go. You got your memento of that particular event, that particular game, and all of the teams are doing. Okay,
Yeah.
so it comes with the ticket price, and you got your walking billboard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I went to my first NBA game in Orlando about 15 years ago, and that's what they had there. There was a NBA star that was playing there at the time, who I don't want to mention because, he's got some harassment suits against him and whatnot right now. But, we got there. The shirts were on the back, and hey, it was a great time. We did throw them on immediately and kept them on for like the rest of the day. And I actually kept mine until I got back in town. My little sister was a huge fan of basketball and this particular player at the time. So, of course, but yeah, it was a really cool memento, and I was happy to be able to share it with her. And same thing, when you come across fans after you perform, you don't know how long they're going to hold on to it. Maybe they'll give it to somebody else. It's like, hey, that's a cool shirt. That's a cool cup. That's whatever. And then that's actually more promotion for you. So yeah, definitely a good strategy and something to keep in mind.
Hey, so when there are 15, 17, 21,000 seats in there, man, that's a huge expenditure for
It really is. It really
Lord.
is.
Mm,
That's a lot of money.
that's a lot of money.
All right, BMG was hit with layoffs amid restructuring their theatrical and international departments. So they let go around 40 employees as they're consolidating their New York and Canada based recorded music operations into its LA office. The company is also shutting down the New York based theatrical productions and any of the future ventures in film that it was going to do. Its international marketing department for recording and its modern recordings label that's based in Berlin were also affected by the layoffs. And this even includes some senior level execs, the executive vice president and the senior vice president of global repertoire. So, I mean, I feel like we've had more of these stories recently than we had when we first started, sharing the music news with you. But, this economy's been pretty rough across the board for a lot of sectors. And, music and technology has been one of them. So, it's kind of unfortunate, but hopefully, they can kind of restructure things in a way that can kind of help them be profitable and not have to lay off more people. Yeah.
Yeah, that layoff word, it can be a nightmare to a lot of folks on both sides.
Yeah.
And, but then for the company ownership as well, their workforce capabilities get sliced, with the workers actually take the big part of the slice with their income, and it's like a no-win situation. It's very unfortunate.
It really is. Yeah. There's a lot of times, not necessarily in this particular case, but when we've seen it happen with other music related companies, you notice the huge dip in service. And, not to pick on anybody in particular, but, if you kind of do some social listening and see what people are saying about who they use for distributors and, okay, I should have made this amount of money. It's not in my account anymore. What did they do with it? Or, maybe one of your tracks doesn't show up in the store that it's supposed to, and it takes a while to get back. So, a lot of times this does kind of have a ripple effect that you don't necessarily see right away because you're thinking, okay, well, they made the cuts, but they still have people there. But a lot of times those people are stretched too thin. And so sometimes things can kind of fall by the wayside. But yeah, it's just kind of one of those things you got to wait and see exactly how it's going to affect what they do.
Yeah, and then as far as the employees are concerned, it's one of those roll with the punches. I can raise my hand. That kind of thing's happened to me a number of times. The first time it happened, really caught me off guard. I was working in an office building, and I heard some chatter outside. I think I was on the second or third floor or whatever, and I'm like, what's that chatter? And when I looked out the window, there were gobs of employees out there in the parking lot hugging each other.
Wow.
Okay, and I'm like, okay, so what's all this about? And then I noticed some of them were rubbing their faces, and that's when I saw that some of them were crying, actually.
Right.
Okay, and I'm like, what are they crying about? And it was only about 5 minutes later when I found out, hey, my whole department, the same thing, and it's, hey, that can be a shocker when they tell you, hey, you're living in Georgia. They say, yeah, well, we got some spots for you up in Tennessee. Okay, now who can do that?
Right.
And then a few years later, same thing. And instead of Tennessee, they say, well, it was an airline construction builder. And they say, well, your name Gipson? Yeah. Well, you're laid off tomorrow. What?
Yeah.
Well, if you're, hey, you can stay with the company. We got some spots at our location in LA.
Wow.
Now,
where the cost of living is so reasonable.
Who's gonna,
Right. Yeah.
You in Georgia, they talk about they got a spot for you in LA. Come on.
Yeah. It's a huge change. Yeah. So yeah, it's always tough, especially this time of year too. So
oh man,
it's definitely with those people. But yeah. So hopefully there will be fewer of these stories going forward. Fingers
Let's hope
crossed.
so. Let's
But
hope so.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Defective Records has signed a gaming deal with Reactional Music. Reactional Music is currently live in beta right now, but it's working with a number of game developers to license not only music, but technology that personalizes it for players according to what's actually happening in the game in real time. So now Defected has joined its list of partners to license tracks in its catalog, along with Hypnosis Song Management and APM Music. And there's others too, but those are the big names that most of us would probably recognize. So, I mean, technology sounds pretty interesting. I think it'd be fun to kind of test out. If you're a gamer and you get a chance to work with anything that they're doing, feel free to reach out and let us know what you think about it.
Yeah, do that. Do that.
All right, speaking of hypnosis, we shared, I believe it was a couple weeks ago, that there was a shareholder vote coming up because they were thinking about selling off some of the catalog to their sister company, and apparently they voted against it, and they voted against the Music Investment Trust. So more than 83% of votes were against continuing the company. The board has to review options for its future with shareholders and then make proposals within 6 months. So there's a chance that the trust may be sold if shareholders can't agree and if investors insist. So on top of that, investors also voted against, as I mentioned, the $440 million portfolio to Hypnosis Song Capital, which is the sister fund that's run and backed by private equity group Blackstone. And that's because they felt like the price was way too low. So they felt like they were being lowballed. But part of their issue with that is that they're concerned about that relationship because Blackstone also co-owns the rival fund that's still buying song rights. So they're thinking that maybe that's why that figure was so lowballed, because it'd be in their best interest to buy it for that other fund if that's the case. And you know what? That's a genuine concern. So, I don't blame them one bit for voting that down if they know that they can get more, or at least believe that they can. Because to be advised by someone that also owns a competitor is a really weird setup, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I mean, there's a lot that goes on in the business world, entrepreneurship, ownership, especially. Case in point, just a regular gas station that I know. Gas station, okay, on the corner of a street. All right, so sometimes when you drive by there, the gas price is posted. It can be pretty high, but then about 500 or 600 yards up the street, there's another gas station, and sometimes that price is lower.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, no, I'm not paying this price. I'll just go over here. Okay, and then every so often it's flip flopped. So the price on the corner is lower, but the price up the street is a little bit higher. Okay, so you stop on the corner.
Right.
Okay, but it became unveiled that the same man owned both stations.
Wow.
That's why I say, well, so
Yeah.
similar to this. Okay, so he's winning no matter what, because if you want low, you're gonna go here.
Right.
That.
Yeah.
But then 2 weeks later, if you want low, you got to go there. But he owns that. I mean,
great
wow.
comparison. Great comparison.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, so I think that they actually made the right call to vote that down. And case in point, recently the shareholders of Round Hill's UK fund had overwhelmingly approved Concord buying them out for $469 million. So, like Hypnosis, Round Hill Music was seeing a derating. So they weren't trading like where they wanted to be. But Concord actually came correct. So they're like, hey, this will work. So this lets you know that it's possible. There are companies that are out there willing to give you a fair share for it, because in this particular case, the acquisition gave its shareholders a chance to cash out their shares at a significant premium, which actually surpassed the highest trading price since the company had their initial public offering back in 2020 in November. So, yeah, it lets you know that they know that something better could exist. There's a better offer out there, and yeah, they definitely shouldn't take that one if they believe they can do better.
Mm, mm.
Okay.
Caveat emptor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let the buyer beware.
Mm-hmm. Right. Live Nation has responded to Senator Klobuchar as far as saying, okay, so she wrote them saying that she didn't really feel like they were doing enough quickly to implement the all-in pricing, and so this she actually penned the letter to Michael Rapino, which is the CEO of Live Nation, and so he said that in I mean, not to be funny or anything, but it was basically like, hey, we've done everything that we can do on our end, but you got to tell everybody else to kind of do the right thing. So he was basically saying that Congress needs to push others to do the same. We're not to blame here. So I personally haven't seen the changes that they've implemented. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there could be more that they could do right now, but I do believe that it's kind of unfair to just kind of pick on them because they're not the only platforms that are doing this. So, um, but at the same point, it's not something that should need a lot of work to do to just let people know exactly how much they're going to be paying up front. You shouldn't have to go through all that to find out that you've got these huge fees tacked on at the end of what you thought was going to be, maybe reasonably priced. And, even some of the things that we've shared in some prior stories where, he's actually been quoted as saying, yeah, people are going to pay a lot more to see concerts. That's not something that we actually have to discount. So it does sound like he might be kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth a little bit, but hey, I definitely support this reform. I think that all that information should be up front, and we'll see how quickly others follow suit.
Mm, yeah, we just have to watch.
Yeah. All right, and finally, DistroKid has struck a deal with TikTok Music. So that means that music distributed by DistroKid will be available on TikTok's new premium music platform. And it will also be on TikTok's CapCut and their commercial music library. So, hey, that's always good when distributors can make sure that their customers' music is on every platform that's available if they want to be. So, you know, heads up, if you're using DistroKid as a distributor, then you definitely want to make sure that you get your music there because, as we mentioned, what TikTok Music is now in, I believe it was 5 markets. And of course, it's still expanding. Who knows where it'll be, next time we have another episode. But yeah, definitely a good move. And yeah, we'll see how many other distributors follow suit.
Yeah, that was a good move. So, hey man, they got they got the pedal to the metal right now.
They really do.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. All right, that does it for this week's edition of Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. Once again, we thank you for joining us. We thank you for telling your friends about us and sharing and all the positive feedback we've been getting. And, I'm already looking forward to next week. A super huge shout out to our home stations, Grander Radio out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Sparks Radio out of Atlanta, Georgia. And yeah, I'm already excited for next time.
Yeah. There's no between now and then, there's no telling what might break off. So keep it right here. Keep
Yeah.
looking. Yeah.
All right. So till next time, you know where to find us. Tune in, tell a friend. We'll see you then. Peace.
Peace.